energy efficiency. GCL air conditioners is made for what it operates. So it could be that it goes good for job. And it helps with something. Two. What happened drama? So clean and hygienic. It means very good. In approach levels, damage. Wow. And we can get some that the most much less people don't always enjoy the about CCL level is the first one. Depend on the plural. It also got to CCL air conditioners and the crystal rate.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HitzafrikRadio and TV. Stay tuned. Download the tuning app onto your mobile phone today and catch up on all the latest news from Hitzafrik Radio. Broadcasting live on modern Ghana and our website www.hitzafrikradio.org. HitzafrikRadio Radio News Hour live.
Good evening. The time is exactly 19 hours in the studios of HitzafrikRadio and TV. Today is the 6th of April 2021. Now let's do the news headlines. Don Kataman saw 12 inmates escape from Atadeka police station. Expedite investigations into alleged ritual killings. JIADEC holds media workshop. BOJ cautions banks on money transfers abroad. These and many other stories I bring your way this evening. Stay tuned and enjoy the news in details. My name is Abina Ahrini. Now let's do the news in details. Don Kataman saw 12 inmates escape from Atadeka police station. Police in Ashaiman in the Greater Accra region is on the manhunt for 9 inmates who escaped from cells at the Atadeka police station in Don Katamanso municipality. The 9 are part of a group of 12 inmates who broke out of the cells over the weekend. Police managed to rearrest 3 of them, but 9 are still at large. On Easter Sunday, a suspect was reported to have feigned illness and requested some porridge. One of the 2 police officers on duty brought the porridge and entered the cells to serve the inmates feigning illness. This inmate in turn allegedly poured the porridge in the face of the police officer, giving the 12 inmates the chance to flee. Following the escape, was one arrested within the neighborhood after a report from a resident. Another fugitive who was trying to leave the community was caught after an alarm was raised. The family of a 3rd fugitive was reported to the police when he returned home. Safo to the police. Sarah Ajua Safo, the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection, the police to the expedite investigations into the death of the 11-year-old Michelle Mensah, who was allegedly murdered by his friends at Lambton Mills, a suburb of Kaswa. Two persons, an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old, after they were accused of being behind the murder. 2021. On the 4th of April 2021, after they were accused of being the murder, some eyewitnesses said building and smashed his head with a club and cement blocks, killing him instantly. Police say the suspects plan to recover the body at midnight for supposed rituals. Reacting to the unfortunate incident in a statement, the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection commiserated with the family of the deceased. It is with deep sadness that I learned of the death of an 11-year-old boy at Kaswa who was kindly pardon our technical challenges. Moving on to other stories, expedite investigations into alleged ritual killing. The Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Sarah Adjoa Safo, wants the police to expedite investigations into the death of 11-year-old Ishmael Mensah, who was allegedly murdered by his friends at Lambton Mills, a suburb of Kaswa. Two persons, an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old, were arrested by the Kaswa Divisional Police Command on April 4, 2021, after they were accused of being behind the murder. Some eyewitnesses said the suspect allegedly lured the deceased into an uncompleted building and smashed his head with a club and cement blocks, killing him instantly. Police say the suspect planned to recover the body at midnight for supposed rituals. Reacting to the unfortunate incident in a statement, the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection commiserated with the family of the deceased. It is with deep sadness that I learned of the death of an 11-year-old boy at Kaswa who was allegedly brutally murdered for ritual purposes. My heartfelt condolences to the family, especially the mother of the young boy whose life has been cut short in such a gruesome manner. As a mother myself, with a son just around that age, I can imagine her pain and the anguish she is experiencing. The thought of any parent losing a child is unbearable, especially under such tragedy circumstances. My heart really goes out to her. She further called on the police to expedite their investigations into the matter, so we give the family of Ishmael the justice and closure they deserve. She also called on stakeholders to instill the right values in the youth. The disturbing act should be a wake-up call to all Ghanaians that as a country, we will teach our children that there is dignity in hard work, and when it comes with benefits thereof, we seem to have pushed aside the values and attributes of hard work. Honesty and service to each other, which are the building blocks of every fair and just society. Madam Major Safo further charged the media to give no room for spiritualists and occults to go through advertisements and entice these young ones to engage in these acts. It is time to take the moral right and uphold the values of our nation and safeguard the future of our kids and our dear nation in that regard, she added. Meanwhile, the two suspects have been remained in the police custody. Moving on to other stories, man in court for beating his wife. An auto electrician who joined his girlfriend to assault his wife for allegedly reporting their amorous relationship to an in-law has appeared before an Accra Circuit Court. Richard Kwesi Sechi, 35, and his girlfriend Christiana Inchua, now at large, have been charged with physical abuse. Due to the beatings, the complainant, Mary Ohinewa, 34, is unable to hear and walk well. Sechi has denied the charge preferred against him, and the court, presided over by Christiana Khan, admitted him to bail in the sum of 60,000 Ghana cedis with 3 sureties. 2 of the sureties are to be justified with landed properties. The court has ordered prosecution to file their witness statements and disclosures and adjourned the case to April 13th for such management conference. Prosecuting Detective Sergeant Opoku Ejeni said the complainant is unemployed and resided at Pobiman in Accra. Sechi and Ohenewa have been married for 8 years and had 3 children. Prosecution said for some time now, Sechi had been beating Ohenewa, and on February 1st this year, at about 7 o'clock hours, Sechi accused Ohenewa of calling his girlfriend Inchua on phone to insult her. During the argument, Sechi hit the left cheek of Ohenewa at a fist, causing her to fall and lost a tooth in the process. Prosecution said due to the blow, Ohenewa had difficulty in hearing, so she reported the assault to the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit, DOVSU, at Amasaman and was given a medical form to seek treatment. Detective Sergeant Enyejiwa said afterward, Sechi left his matrimonial home and lodged with his girlfriend Poguman and refused to cater for his children. Moving on to other stories, the Ghana Education Service says it has rescheduled the reopening for senior high school Form 3 students to May 5th. In a Facebook post, it was said that after management considered a proposal for the Conference of Heads of the Assisted Secondary Schools, CHASS, the service said this applies to all Form 3 students, single track and double track schools. Further details will be announced. All other arrangements on the calendar remained unchanged. Last month, JES postponed the reopening for SHS freshers to March 18th through to March 21st. Anthony Boateng, the Deputy Director General, in a press release, said the action is to give students who have issues with self-placement time to complete the process. Also, he encouraged others who have not completed their school's admission process to use the extension to complete the process. The service added that the rescheduling will also help parents have adequate time to prepare their kids for school, as well as give schools additional time needed to prepare to welcome them. GES has also urged parents COVID-19, while management of schools also has been asked to ensure strict adherence to COVID-19 protocols. CHASS Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary School, GES, Ghana Education Service. Moving on to other stories, JIADEC holds media workshop on responsible and sustainable mining. The Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation, JIADEC, has affirmed its commitment to responsible and sustainable mining at environmental workshop is held for 22 journalists from 16 media organizations in Accra. Preserving and sustaining nature is paramount to us. As JIADEC, we know it's important too far for all stakeholders, Mr. Michael Ansah, CEO of JIADEC, told the participants. That is why we consider it our responsibility to bring the media and other stakeholders on board right from the beginning and keep you informed all the way through, Mr. Ansah said. The workshop updated the journalists on JIADEC strategic measures aimed at preserving the environment, including original flora, fauna, and topsoil within its bauxite mining concessions at Ayawaso, Atewa, Impasaso, and Inyanyin. JIADEC is a state-owned corporation established by the Ghana government in 2018 to develop and promote integrated aluminium industry in Ghana. Mr. Ansah said JIADEC would be transparent and accountable to the mining communities and the people of Ghana. JIADEC intends to keep every details of its exploration, exploitation, and restoration activities within the public domain to ensure that everyone appreciates that we've adhered strictly to national regulations and best international standards, said Mr. Ansah, a globally respected estate specialist and former senior vice president of Dell. Journalists at the workshop were taken through 3 essential thematic areas, namely environmental protection practices, research, and protection of water bodies. The facilitators were named Mr. Ransford Stichie of the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, Professor Benjamin B. Campion of the Faculty of Renewable Natural Resources, KNUST, and Ms. Adjoa Pinsto of Water Resources Commission. The Director of Mines at the Environmental Protection Agency, Mr. Rashford Stichie, outlined the processes for acquiring permits and commended the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation for duly following EPA's procedures. He explained that even though mining was yet to begin, JIADEC has consulted and involved the EPA in all of its preliminary activities toward exploration. Mr. Sechi confirmed that the EPA, on behalf of the government of Ghana, commissioned KNUST to conduct a baseline diversity study in the Atiwa Forest Reserve, and the outcome would address the concerns on preservation of the environment. He said mining companies went through a rigorous process of permitting before they could start exploration and mining. Companies were required to submit a reclamation strategy with a bond paid to the EPA that will be used for reclamation should the companies fail to deliver on their environmental obligations. Professor Campion, who is leading the research at Itiwa, said some of the current threats to the reserve include invasive alien species, climate change, tourism, hunting, increasing wildlife trade, and logging. However, he He acknowledged that the greater threat to Etiwa Forest was the activities of illegal small-scale mining, Galamsey, rather than legal mining companies who were bonded to restore the pre-mining environment. Our findings will be presented to the EPA, which will be the basis for advising government of Ghana on policy options, Dr. Campion said. Painston, Director, Environmental Quality at Water Resources Commission, said her outfit would restrict any activity that threatens water sources and livelihoods. She took participants through the Commission's permission processes, saying once JIADEC and its partners went through the appropriate permitting processes, then the Birim, Densu, and Eyinsu, all rivers at the Itiwa Forest, were sure to be protected. Rounded up by a consensus by both facilitators and editors that it is critical for JIADEC to be supported by the media, especially government, private sector partners, and all other stakeholders to develop the aluminium industry in Ghana to aid the country's economic development. Moving on to other stories, Bank of Ghana cautions banks on money transfers abroad. Mr. Philip Danso, Chief Banking Supervisor, Bank of Ghana, delivering his address at the CEO's breakfast meeting. The Chief Manager of the Banking Supervision Department of the Bank of Ghana, BOG, Mr. Philip Danso, has cautioned commercial banks against the transfer of funds abroad under the Technology Transfer Agreement, TTA, if the agreement was not registered in accordance with the JIPC Act 2013, Act 865. He said funds that were transferred under TTAs that were not registered would attract sanctions when evidence of such transactions became available to the central bank. Any TTA that is not registered is an illegality and will attract the appropriate sanctions because the criminal code explains a crime as any conduct that attacks the penalty of death, punishment, or a fine, and once the JIPC Act has provided for a fine for TTAs that is not registered, then it falls within the definition of a crime, he said. Mr. Danso gave the warning at the first quarter of the CEO breakfast meeting in Accra yesterday, where he delivered a presentation on the implications of transferring funds without a registered TTA. The meeting was organized by the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, JIPC. It was held on the theme, Technology Transfer Agreement, Eligibility, Compliance, and Liabilities. Under JIPC legislation, a TTA refers to an agreement between a company in Ghana, transferee, and a company outside Ghana related or non-related transferor, for a duration of an initial 18 months to 10 years and was renewable for 18 months to 5 years. The agreement involves assignment, sale and licensing of all forms of industrial property such as patents, industrial designs, trademarks, or the provision of technical expertise by a foreign company to a local-based company. It also involves the provision of managerial services and know-how such as information, data, whether patentable or not, including technical or commercial information relating to research, design, development, manufacture, use, or sale of personal training. In an interview with the Daily Graphic, Mr. Danso said transactions made under the TTAs that were not registered could become a venue for money laundering. Such transactions, he said, could also facilitate capital flight since it will not be captured in any registered agreement with the GIPC. Moving on to other African countries, stay tuned as we pursue the African stories.
The News Hour The news hour coming to you live from the studios of HitzafrikRadio and TV. Stay tuned. Download the tuning app.
You're still logged on to HitzafrikRadio and TV. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at HitzafrikRadio. Also, we are streaming on our website at www.hitzafrikradio.org. Now let's do other African countries. Africa needs $12 billion for vaccines to halt COVID-19 spread. According to an estimate based on a report by the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, Africa will need about $12 billion to both procure and distribute sufficient numbers of COVID-19 vaccines to attain adequate protection against the virus that would see an end to the compounded devastating effects of the pandemic on the continent. The report urges for a further extension of the Group of 20's debt service moratorium through the year's end, noting in particular the continued high liquidity needs of developing countries and their deteriorating debt sustainability outlooks. In addition, it states that the estimated financial sum the African continent will need to curb coronavirus transmission is about the same as the total amount of official debt service payments already deferred by 45 of the most economically challenged nations participating in the G20's Debt Service Suspension Initiative, DSSI. Nevertheless, according to the World Bank's latest biannual economic analysis for sub-Saharan Africa, economic growth in sub-Saharan Africa is estimated to have contracted by 2.0% in 2020, closer to the lower bound of the forecast in April 2020. The analysis also finds that prospects for recovery are strengthening amid actions to contain new waves of the pandemic and speed up vaccine rollouts. The document also shows that African countries are not wasting the opportunity from the COVID-19 crisis as they are increasingly adopting digital technologies to boost productivity in current jobs and increase employment opportunities, particularly for women and youth. To unlock the full benefits of a digital economy, the report recommends policies that accompany investment in digital infrastructure, such as regulatory framework that fosters competition and innovation in telecommunications, provision of reliable and affordable electricity, investment in education, and upgrading the skills of informal workers. The report also predicts that the COVID-19 induced recession is less severe than earlier anticipated. However, economic recovery will vary significantly across countries and sub-regions. Sub-Saharan Africa, home to more than 1 billion people, half of whom will be under 25 years old by 2050, is a diverse continent offering human and natural resources that have the potential to yield inclusive growth and wipe out poverty in the region. Real all-round potential that could enable Africans across the continent to live healthier and more prosperous lives. With the world's largest trade-free area and a 1.2 billion person market, the continent is creating an entirely new development path, harnessing the potential of its resources and people. Additional sources, the World Bank. Moving on to other country is Nigeria. Cleaning up Lagos, Nigeria's dirty beaches. In blistering heat, several dozens volunteers are busy collecting plastic bottles, bags, and polystyrene boxes as they launch a cleanup in the longest beach in Lagos. Nigeria's mega city of 20 million people produces between 13,000 and 15,000 tons of waste per day, including 250 tons of plastics, according to a Lagos recycling startup, We Cyclists. Despite recent cleanup efforts, and an emerging recycling sector, Lagos had no rubbish sorting system. The lack of public awareness about pollution presents a huge environmental challenge. Litter in Africa's most populous city gets whisked away by the rains and waterways and ends up in piles of trash on the sprawling beaches. Lighthouse Beach stretches for about 100 kilometers, 60 miles along the Atlantic, all the way to neighboring Benin. Lined with palm trees, the beach could be heavily if it weren't for all the pollution. It's time we raise awareness about keeping the environment clean, especially with all the plastic, said Chioma Chukura, a marketing consultant helping to pick up garbage at the beach. At the end of a tiring day, 230 large bean bags are piled up on the hot sand, filled with dirty plastic. At the end of a tiring day, 230 large bean bags are piled up on the hot sand, filled with dirty plastic. A recycling company will come and pick them up tomorrow, Wadi Yusuf, organizer of the cleanup, said. All the plastic here will get recycled. Sold for $500, 420 pounds, euros, a ton. Recycled plastic could bring $250 million to Lagos each year, he urged. And a cleaner environment could bolster other sectors. Yusuf said Nigerians could be encouraged to adopt the beach lifestyle, something that would improve the livelihood of local communities. However, to attract people to the beach, you need a clean beach, he pointed out. As the volunteer leave at the end of the day, just 100 meters yards is clean. There is still a lot to do. Maybe 2 months constantly, every day to get this cleaned up, said another volunteer, Ebube Inwoso, who works in IT. And we have to find a way to prevent it, the plastic from coming back after we are done. I'm not sure when we are back, we may still see any litter here. Moving on to other stories, urgent aid needed for Mozambique deepening humanitarian crisis. Urgent aid is needed for Mozambique's deepening humanitarian crisis after deadly attacks by militants affiliated with the Islamic State group. The largely homegrown militancy, known locally as Al-Shabaab, has grown in power since 2017 and is capturing towns, commits brutal killings on civilians such as beheadings. More than 700,000 have been displaced across Mozambique. On March 24th, the northern Cabo Delgado province took a turn for the worse after their latest attack on the town of Palma. Thousands were killed and tens of thousands were homeless. In relation to these displaced people coming from Palma, 30,000 people, the need for assistance for about 1 month, are estimated in about 41 million meticals, around $600,000, said Cesar Tembe, director of the Prevention of Mitigation Area of the National Institute of Disaster Risk Management and Reduction. The assault on the town lasted 12 days before the Mozambican military said on Monday it had regained control of the town. Thousands poured onto Cabo Delgado's capital Pemba, which is already brimming with people displaced by previous attacks and the 2019 cyclone. The strategic province of Cabo Delgado borders Tanzania and is an area that is rich in natural gas. The attack also forced French energy giant Total to suspend operations and evacuate staff from its Afangay liquid natural gas (LNG) facility near Palma. Moving on to another country is Tanzania. Tanzania signals change of stance on COVID-19. Major changes could be in the offing to Tanzania's response to the coronavirus pandemic. On Tuesday, President Samia Suluhu Al-Hassan said she would name a committee of experts to advise her government on antivirus measures. On the issue of COVID-19, I think I should form a committee to experts to look at it professionally and then advise the government. It should not be silenced or rejected or accepted without professional research, she said. Authorities last released data on COVID-19 almost a year ago, with data then showing that Tanzania only had 509 cases. Samia's predecessor, late President John Magufuli, then declared that the East African country had no COVID-19. Samia was Magufuli's deputy. She was sworn in as president after Magufuli's death in March. Tanzania did not require people to wear masks or practice social distancing. There were no restrictions on gatherings or movements either. But after pressure from the World Health Organization, WHO, the country acknowledged in February that it was dealing with cases of the disease. Tanzania needs to have its own understanding of where we stand on the issue of COVID-19, Samia said. She was speaking at the ceremony to swear in government ministry officials in Dar es Salaam. No COVID vaccines have arrived in the country to date. In another major policy change, Samia directed the Information Ministry to reopen media houses closed during her predecessor's reign. I am told you revoked licenses of some media outlets, including some online television stations. You should lift the ban, but tell them to follow the law and government guidelines, she said. In 2017, Tanzania authorities banned 4 newspapers for what they termed as dissemination of false information and threatening national security. In a 2019 report, Human Rights warned that the East African country was clamping down on independent journalists, activists, and the political opposition. So here lies the end of the local story. Stay tuned as I fetch you the foreign news. You're still logged on to HitzafrikRadio and TV. Now let's do some world news. COVID surge in South America as Brazil variant spreads. Coronavirus figures released by health authorities across South Africa on Monday show a number of countries grappling with a spike in infections and deaths. Uruguay and Paraguay registered record numbers of daily deaths, while the total number of COVID cases surpassed the 30 million mark in Brazil. The surge has been attributed to the spread of the Brazil variant. The variant is thought to be more than twice as transmissible as the original. Brazilian Public Health Institute, Fiocruz, says it has detected 92 variants of coronavirus in the country. Experts say that the development of new variants is not surprising. All viruses mutate as they make copies of themselves to spread. A pharmaceutical professional observed samples of suspected patients with COVID-19 at the Central Laboratory of Amazon's, LACEN, in Manaus, Brazil, 31st of March 2021. The PI of Brazil variant has become a cause for concern. It's because it is thought to be much more contagious than the original strain. It has mutations on the spike protein, the part of the virus which attach to human cells, and it is these mutations which are thought to make it more transmissible. The virus is thought to have emerged as Amazon state in November 2020, spreading quickly in the state's capital, Manaus, where it accounted for 73% of cases by January 2021, according to figures analyzed by the researchers in Brazil. Preliminary data suggested that it could be up to twice as infectious as the original strain, while more recent research puts that figure on higher at 2.5 times as transmissible. Now let's do some entertainment stories. Natalie Ford quits news anchoring job with TV3 as she resigns with immediate effect. Natalie Ford has quit her news anchoring job with TV3, as she stated in a resignation letter. According to the broadcaster, she is resigning with immediate effect. Natalie, who has been working with the Adessewa-based media house for about 4 years now, announced her departure from the station last night. As I resign from TV3 with immediate effect from 5th April 2021, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the management of Media General for the incredible 4 years with the firm, she stated in a social media post. Moving on to other stories, she's always saying she's broke. Date rush pair fall apart over Momo demand. A potential relationship has been ruined by Momo demands just before the relationship could even start. Date rush contestant Man Bose, the barber, and Rose met on TV3 reality show that sees the contestants picking a date for a responsible relationship. Even that same day backstage, someone was like, "You people have not get married soon." And she was like, "For the way." Meanwhile, on this show, I came to look for someone I can be with. Bose told Giovanni in the video below. According to Bose, he has been on a date with Rose, and it was nice, but other concerns have separated them. He detailed that sometimes she will tell me that since 2018, I have never taken trotro before. All the time she is in Uber. She has never been in trotro. Can I be with you? I'm a barber here. Bose also disclosed that sometimes I will even say hi on WhatsApp, then she will reply, "I'm broke. Can you be with such a lady? I just want to ask how you are faring." Then she will tell me she is broke. She will send her Momo account, so you should send her money. Moving on to other stories, Kim Kardashian, Kanye West's wife, is officially a billionaire. Rapper Kanye West's wife, Kim Kardashian, has finally reached billionaire status following Forbes 2021 billionaire list. Forbes has published a 2021 richest people in the world list, with the CEO of e-commerce giant Amazon, Jeff Bezos, topping the list with $177 billion net worth dollars, followed by Elon Musk, Bernard Arnault, and Mark Zuckerberg. Her first launch, 300,000 contact kits, sold out within 2 hours. By 2018, the business had expanded into eyeshadows, concealers, lipsticks, and fragrances, and was bringing in about $11 million in revenue. And this is where we bring the end of the news for tonight. A recap of tonight's headlines. Tom Katamanso 12 inmates escaped from Atadeka police station. Expedite investigations into alleged ritual killings. JIADEC holds media workshop. BOJ cautions banks on money transfers abroad. These and many other stories I brought away this evening. My name is Apina Ahini. Stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our program. Have a good evening.